today I'm going to start with biology. Now, biology is the study of living things. Bio meaning living. Now, biology has many subunits as well, subtopics. For example, biochemistry, biotechnology, which is my major, and we have other things like ecosystems go into this stuff. You have archaeology that studies this stuff, but that's old history, which helps us figure out how the Earth started. And it also leads to a bigger field known as astrobiology, which is looking at the outside world, the universe, to see if there's any living creatures outside of Earth. Now, before I get into astrobiology stuff, let's focus on the basics for biology. So the smallest unit for biology is the cell. Now there's two types of cells. There's the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic. And the difference is, or the biggest difference is, the eukaryotic has many organelles within it. It has smaller cells that are within the cell. Whereas the prokaryotic cells don't really have much. They just have the cytoplasm and a cell wall. And maybe a membrane if you're lucky. So for prokaryotic, P for short, and then E here, for eukaryotic. A prokaryotic, an example of a prokaryotic is a bacterial cell. And what that basically has is, this is my cell wall, and this is my plasmid. A plasmid is just a circular piece of DNA, which I'll talk about DNA in my later videos. A eukaryotic cell is more complex, and it's usually circular compared to a bacterial cell, which is more squared. But there's two types of eukaryotic cells. One's mammalian cells and one's plant cells. Plant cells are square, and they have a cell wall. So this is my horrible plant cell. You have a nucleus here, which contains your DNA, and then you have other things, like you have vacuoles, and you have, vacuoles are just the things that get rid of the waste from within the cell. Then you have something known as mitochondria, which is where ATP is produced. So I'll just label these. Mito for short for mitochondria, and vacuoles, and my nucleus containing my DNA. As you may have noticed, there's no nucleus in a prokaryotic cell. That's the key difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic, besides the fact that it doesn't have any organelles. So everything that happens in here, like translation and transcription, which I'll get into in my later videos, it all happens within the cytoplasm of a prokaryotic cell, compared to in a eukaryotic cell, it goes from being in the nucleus, where transcription happens, and then translation happens in the cytoplasm. Now this is my plant one. I don't know how to do that part. Okay, this is my plant one. Okay, so the main difference between a plant cell and a mammalian cell is that a mammalian cell does not have a cell membrane, a cell wall. It has a cell membrane, which a plant cell does not have. The problem is, with a plant cell, it needs a more rigid sort of outline, which is what you get from your cell wall, which is made from cellulose, which is why vegetables tend to have a lot of fiber in them, because our body can't break down cellulose. Now, the other thing that a mammalian cell also has is a nucleus, which makes it a eukaryotic cell. And it has the similar things like a cytoplasm or all that kind of stuff. It also has mitochondria, and it doesn't have vacuoles though. Instead, it has something known as lysosomes, which work the same way as vacuoles, but they're not actually called vacuoles. So they also have lysosomes. Now, that's the distinguishing between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. So, I think that's pretty much it for cells. Subscribe to me so you guys can see some cool videos doing science and experiments and maybe learning something new. Thanks!